I would like to start off my talk with a small video clipping which shows in a nutshell the 6 months that I spent in Antarctica as a doctor for the Indian scientific expedition.
There's a world moving slow, carnelian stars and the bars down below. Serve only vodka and gin. I try to stay drunk so nobody knows. And Antarctica, my only living relative. And Antarctica, I can't wait anymore. I can't wait anymore. And then there's morning. Each one feels like the first one. A morning so clean, so pure. Nothing so clear. Now that I'm when I get back to the city, everything's cluttered and pretty. I won't regret my return. I'll just remember the wind and the snow and the howling so loud that it alone drowns out the inside of me. And Antarctica, my only living relative. And Antarctica, I can't wait anymore. I can't wait anymore. I can't wait anymore. Stars in the bars, serve only vodka and gin. Carnelian stars in the bars.
It's so vivid in my memory. I prayed fervently as a little child. One snowflake, just one snowflake was all I asked for. And my joy knew no bounds when I was selected to be the expedition doctor for the Indian scientific expedition to Antarctica, the beautiful land of ice and snow. It's a totally different world out there. You're away from your friends and family for prolonged periods of time in stress, doubt, and fear of the unknown. It can be an ultimate mental and physical endurance test, but it all depends on how open you are to challenges and how best you want to make use of the fantastic opportunity that had come your way. So come with me as I lift the icy curtains and give you a glimpse into the beautiful 6 months, the challenges, the thrills of spending 6 months in Antarctica as the only lady and the only doctor for the Indian scientific expedition to Antarctica. Antarctica, as you all know, is one of the 7 continents. It's the coldest, highest, driest, windiest, loneliest, and the most spectacular place on planet Earth. It is 4 times the size of India in summer, and it doubles up to more than 8 times the size of India in winter because the surrounding southern ocean freezes and merges with this continent. This massive continent is completely covered with the polar ice cap. Just 0.4% of this continent is not covered by the ice and its ice-free rocky surface. Otherwise, the entire continent is covered with a very thick layer of polar ice cap the thickness of which is about 4 kilometers. You have to drill 4 kilometers of ice to hit the land underneath. It all started when I got to be selected to be the doctor for the Indian scientific team. We had a thorough physical and psychological assessment at the All India Institute in New Delhi as part of our selection, and we also had a pre-Antarctic training and acclimatization program which was imparted to us by the Indo-Tibetan Border Police Force at the foothills of Himalayas in Auli, where we had basic training in rock climbing, mountaineering, crevasse crossing, crevasse rescue, seafaring, firefighting, and a whole lot of things to make us better equipped to go and be in this most isolated region on planet Earth for 6 months and come back safely. So from Mumbai, we flew from Mumbai to Cape Town in South Africa, and we set sail on this ship, the Ivan Papanin. It's a Russian ice-class vessel which has done Arctic as well as Antarctic several times. I was very lucky to be allotted this cabin here just below the bridge of the ship, from where I could thrust myself out and enjoy this entire voyage as we set sail truly to the end of the earth, so to say, crossing so many latitudes and longitudes and time zones. While we crossed the 40, 50 and 60 degrees south latitude, it was immensely sort of mentally traumatic, physically as well, because of the extreme rolling, pitching and yawing that this entire ship was subjected to. We were just tossed around like a little twig. It is aptly called the roaring 40s, furious 50s and the shrieking 60s. And this rolling, pitching, yawing of the entire ship happened continuously for 4 days and 4 nights, and it was very, very scary, believe me. And I was only doctor for the team, and I could not be sick. And I was very lucky. This was my first voyage, in fact, on such a long distance. And all I had to do was keep sipping fluids and be positive and not really lie down and let myself feel sick and become seasick. So most of my teammates were down with vomiting and seasickness. And for 4 days, I was just holding on to my dear life so that I don't get thrown away and break my bones, and I kept going up and down and urging all my teammates to have some liquids and keep their hydration up. But even at the end of the 4th day, when things really didn't seem to settle, even I started getting scared. I thought, what if the ship breaks and then the entire ship gets drowned into the Southern Ocean? It was quite unnerving, because it was the first time I was experiencing the power as well as the beauty of Mother Nature firsthand. When this kind of experience gave me the jitters, I used to draw inspiration from these tiny birds, the Arctic terns. These actually fly from the Arctic to the Antarctic, crossing the entire length of planet Earth to experience 2 summers in a year. They avoid the winters in the polar region, which can be extremely, extremely severe. So they fly for thousands of miles without taking rest, I'm told. They catch a nap on their flight, they keep having insects or whatever along their way, and they don't even take a rest in between. So I said, okay, I have no business to get scared. Everything will be fine. And sure enough, after crossing the 60 degrees south latitude, it became quite calm. And then we started seeing a whole lot of icebergs, beautiful icebergs, which were all carved in the last glacial age, some thousands of years ago. And they keep separating from the polar ice cap, and then they keep, sailing in the warmer oceans. We also got to see the different stages of sea ice formation. These are the flows. As the temperature started dipping to minus degrees, the entire sea actually starts freezing up. So these are the first stage of it, called the flows. And then you have these pancakes as far as your eyes can see. This is the Southern Ocean with beautiful ice pancakes as far as your eyes can see. And these pancakes slowly start merging, and then they become these thick slabs, like marble slabs or whatever. And these thicker slabs keep on merging and coalescing. And the occasional sighting of dolphins and whales now makes way for penguins and seals as we set truly to the end of the planet. And we got to see a whole lot of icebergs, massive icebergs of different sizes and shapes. And this was probably the last sunset I would be seeing, because our team was slated to be there for the austral summer of 6 months, where the sun never sets. In Antarctica, there is only 1 day and 1 night. They don't have 365 days and 365 nights the way we experience here. So there the 1 day lasts for 6 months in summer where the sun never sets. So it is continuous daylight for 6 months. The sun is shining brightly even at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the middle of the night. No night skies. So you don't know when the previous day ended, when the next day started. You're literally lost in time and space. And likewise, in winter, there is a 6 months continuous darkness. So it's one long night which lasts for 6 months where the sun never rises and temperatures can dip to -80 to -90. So we were there for the summer, and this was probably the last sunset I was going to be seeing for the next 6 months to come, and probably the last moonlit icebergs and the moon that I was going to be seeing for the next 6 months to come. Coming back to those pancakes, they merge and start becoming massive, huge slabs like this, and the entire southern ocean freezes up into a rocky, solid, icy terrain like this. And this ice-class ship also finds it very difficult to break the ice and inch forward, so we take the help of an icebreaker ship which also accompanies us. So these icebreaker ships have special hulls and engines, and the ice is broken slowly and then the ships slowly start moving. Just to give you an idea, a distance of 6,300 nautical miles from Cape Town to Antarctica, Lasman Hills, which was our final destination, the distance was 6,300 nautical miles, and that we crossed in a matter of 9 days. But just the last 20 miles, because of the severe ice conditions, the last 20 miles took us an additional 16 days because the temperatures were so low and the ice was freezing. Even as these ships were braking and trying to inch forward, the water would again freeze and these huge ships would again shut down, and they had to do the whole process all over again. So it took us 16 days to reach our destination. So finally we are here and the ships have anchored over there, and I am standing at the site where the Bharti station was going to be built. The easier way to do is to fly down from Antarctica, from Cape Town to Antarctica in a matter of 8 hours. You can fly. This is the IL-76. It's a Russian Illusion aircraft, which takes about 8 hours to fly from Cape Town to Antarctica. But the only thing is it has to be only in summer, subjected to weather conditions. You cannot just buy a ticket and get onto it. You have to charter the entire flight. So this is a picture of the team. Our team of the Indian scientific expedition to Antarctica that year. I am the only lady and the only doctor in the team. It was a 27-member team from scientists from different walks of life. There were people from Indian Navy, people from ISRO, people from the meteorological department, glaciology, and a whole lot of other sciences. So we had glaciologists, geologists, marine biologists, environmental toxicologists, and the like. And we also had the logistic component with masons and plumbers and electricians who were going to be involved in installing the Bharti station, which is the second permanent research base for India in Antarctica. So the agenda for us was to go to this point here where the Bharti station was going to be built. And after that, we were going to set sail and cover nearly 3,098 kilometers to come here to this point where the Maitri station is already there, to give them the wintering supplies, you know, the domestic supplies, the scientific supplies for the wintering team in Maitri before we come back to India. So that was our agenda. When the ship actually anchored there, we could now not only get down from the ship, walk, run and jump on the frozen ocean surface, but we also drove these vehicles, the snow trucks or the piston bullies, and the snow mobiles, the ski-doos. So it was an excellent, very, very thrilling experience, I must say, and we have taken part in the Himalayan car rally, my husband and me, many times. So my team leader was very happy to allow me to double up as a driver for the team. So you're a very small number team there, so whoever can pitch in for any activities, they are welcome. So I really enjoyed being the driver for the team as well as the doctor for the team, transporting men and material to the different research activity sites. And the thrill of driving these vehicles on the frozen ice, frozen ocean is something I really cannot describe in words. When you know the whole ocean is right below you and you had to be really very careful while driving these vehicles. We had a whole lot of heavy equipment like this on board the ship, which were all used for constructing the Bharti station. We had Menzimak, we had the cranes, bulldozers and caterpillars and a whole lot of heavy equipment which came with us on board the ship. And this is the station site where all the equipment from the ship were transported here, and the Bharti station was going to be built over here. And these are the living modules called the apple huts and melon huts. They were going to be carried as underslung from the helicopters. We had 2 helicopters on board. We had to sort of, anytime we step out into the wilderness, we had to make sure that we have these apple huts and melon huts, which were going to be our protective, shelters in case of a blizzard or any kind of a calamity that could happen in Antarctica at any given time. We had to wear these polar clothing, which was a multi-layered, nearly 5 to 6 layers of clothing, and also a special shoes, which would ensure that we would not slip and fall and break our bones. We also had to keep smearing ourselves with SPF 70 plus so that we don't get sunburnt, and also wear protective goggles so that we don't get sun blind, snow blindness. So a whole lot of precautions had to be taken, and I was a doctor for the team, like I told you. So it was very important for me to keep urging the team to ensure that they are clothed properly, because the only problems, medical problems in Antarctica one would expect is cold related injuries and trauma, which are all preventable. So luckily we didn't have any major medical emergencies. Antarctica is like a deep freezer. Nothing really rots over there. You have the treaty protocol which forbids you from littering the place. We are not allowed to leave behind any kind of garbage, any kind of anything there. Everything had to be brought back to your country. So much so the human waste, 6 months, the waste we had to collect, we had to burn it and collect the ashes and bring it back to our country for disposal. So nothing needs to be left behind, because it's a beautiful, pristine place which has to be preserved for the future generations. So apart from my duties as a doctor for the team, we had to find some ways to keep, the energy up in the whole team, because it's only 27-member team and we are seeing each other day in and day out. We are cut off from the rest of the world. So we used to do yoga, we used to play carom board, we used to also play table tennis on board the ship. The Bharti station was not ready because my team was responsible for installing that. So we were actually based on the ship, and only some days and some nights we were spending in those apple huts and melon huts when we were stranded out in the islands. Otherwise we were actually based on the ship. And no matter whether you're a doctor or a hydrographer or a scientist or whoever you are, we all had to pitch in for galley duties, because it's just a small team. So once in 6 days we had to pitch in for galley duties. We had to cook, we had to clean, we had to wash the vessels and cook food for the entire team. This was a Russian ship. So we had a Russian galley as well, where they would have their own food that is being prepared. But they all would attack the Indian galley because they all were very fond of Indian food. So we used to end up, we had a whole lot of supplies on board the ship with us, but of course no fresh vegetables and fruits, because that cannot really last that long. But we had a whole lot of supplies. But Antarctica is a deep freezer, nothing really thaws there. So no matter how long you take out all the food stuff and leave it out, it is still rock solid, icy kind of a thing. So here, just to show you that we had to many times resort to hammers and drills to help us thaw the fruits and meat and vegetables before we end up cooking. And after cooking for long hours, it would still be raw in the core. So we had to end up eating a lot of high energy bars, nutrition bars, and dry fruits and stuff like that. Here I would like to emphasize that amazing, the human body, how beautifully we can get acclimatized to whatever conditions we are thrown into. From Amchi, Mumbai to go into Antarctica and be able to tolerate, something like -15, -20 on a daily basis in the peak summer is something sitting here I can't even really imagine. But having gotten used to the Antarctic conditions of -10, -15, any day if it was -1, -2, we would actually feel hot. So you can see me in t-shirt and jeans here just walking around. The temperature is like -2, -3. So these are the amazing qualities of human body, how beautifully we can adjust to whatever we are thrown into, if only you have the mind to help you adjust with it. So these are the other stations. We had the Davis station, that's the Australian station, Chinese station, Norwegian station, Russian station, which were all about 125 kilometers, around our Bharti station. So it was a very wonderful experience to meet people from different nationalities, the scientists who had come there for whatever research activities, and we were all there, no matter what the color, creed, or geographic boundaries. We were there to help each other out and always be of use to one another. So any calamity in any research base, they would always touch base with us, and immediately we would all pitch in and help out with whatever problems were happening. So when the Australian team came to us, they realized I was the only lady in the Indian scientific expedition. So they had 17 women on their team. So I was a special invitee. They got me, they sent a helicopter, got me to their Davis station, and in my honor, they had a ladies' night out where they had a beautiful warm jacuzzi and a white buffet laid out. And I had a fantastic time over there with the 17 women. And this is their deputy station commandant who was doubling up as a barber for the team. So he ended up giving me a haircut in Antarctica. 6 months is a long time. So there were a lot of occasions to celebrate. We had Holi, we had Diwali, we had Christmas, we had Eid, we had our Republic Day, we had New Year's, and not to forget the birthdays and the anniversaries of the different members. So we actually, the 27-member team, we divided ourselves into mess committee, cultural committee and sports committee, and started organizing a lot of cultural and sports activities just to keep the team spirit up so that people don't start feeling homesick and start getting depressed, which is a very, very high likelihood in a place like Antarctica. We had this multinational tug of war. We called the Russians, the Norwegians, the Chinese, and everyone, and had a multinational tug of war race here just outside the ship. And in this tug of war, the Russians came first and the Indians came second. And we also organized a cross-country race from the ship to the highest point on that Bharti island, Bharti promontory. So to say, it was about a 5-kilometer walk from the ship to that point and back to the ship. On this treacherous icy terrain, about 125 people were there of different nationalities, and I was the only lady representing the entire womankind on planet Earth over there. Out of the 125 people who were there, only 21 people mustered the courage to sign up for that 5-kilometer cross country to the highest point and back, and I couldn't leave the women behind. I signed up for it as well. And of the 21 people who signed up for it, only 6 completed this, and I was one of them. I came last, but that did not matter because participating is what matters. So there were days when we had these tidal waves which would break through the frozen ocean, and it would be dangerous for us to walk, let alone drive the ski-doos or the piston bullies. So we had to rappel from the ship to the shore. And a lot of training that the Indo-Tibetan Border Police Force that gave us during our pre-Antarctic training and acclimatization in the foothills of the Himalayas really came of good use when we had to do things like this. And this was another fantastic experience, just seeing me actually swimming in Antarctica over there. This was an unusually warm day for Antarctic standards. The temperature was just 1 degree, no wind chill factor. And I was all ready. I wanted to swim in that beautiful sparkling blue water, a small little lake with a backdrop of the polar ice cap. It was a very shallow lake which had just thawed. We were walking, running and sliding on that until yesterday, day before. And with the peaking summer, it had just sort of thawed, and the sparkling blue waters. I, of course, had made sure that I had, taken all precautions because, again, I'm the only doctor. And if I fall sick, then the morale of the whole team would go down. So I'd taken permission of the team leader as well. So I very skeptically stepped into this wonderful lake, very, very shallow lake. And it was like a trillion needles pricking my body as soon as I stepped into it. But once I started swimming, it was the most rejuvenating swim of my life. It was a very, very beautiful experience. And of course, another out-of-this-world experience was interacting with these local inhabitants, the emperor penguins. You might have seen documentaries on National Geographic, BBC Earth and the like, and here we were actually living this documentary. The only difference was I was also starring along with these penguins. These are the father penguins looking after their babies when the mothers have gone in search of food and water. So I told my husband, don't feel thrilled, you're here back with the children babysitting in Mumbai, and sent me to Antarctica. Penguins have been doing this for centuries. The other life forms that we got to see are these, the Weddell seals, the elephant seals, the petrels, and the skuas. No cats, dogs, mosquitoes, flies, cockroaches, or anything that you're so familiar with in this part of the world. In the beginning of my talk, I did mention that Antarctica is a huge continent covered with a 4-kilometer thick of solar, polar ice cap, with only 0.4% of this continent being ice-free exposed rocky surface, and that's the halat of the rocky surface. Because of the extreme winds, the rocks really cannot survive, so they get eroded and corroded and get reduced to something like chunks of cheese or loaf of bread or whatever you would like to call it. The only patch of greenery that you'd ever get to see in Antarctica are these kind of lichen and moss in the peak of summer. Otherwise, there are no other trees or vegetations or any kind of greenery. These are some of the treacherous conditions we always had to be geared up for, because Antarctic weather is very unpredictable, and within seconds there can be calamities that happen. So we had to be very alert and on our guard all the time. Can you imagine a more treacherous terrain than this? We had to be really careful while treading on this terrain. But no matter how treacherous your path, you can enjoy your journey if only you're young enough to seek adventure, but also mature enough to not to be foolhardy, like these penguins on the pancake. This was another beautiful experience. I used to go for my evening stroll with these local emperor penguins, keep a distance of 5 meters from them. As per the Antarctic Treaty Protocol, we are not supposed to touch them, we are not supposed to feed them. So I would maintain a distance of 5 meters and then just go waddling behind them, and they didn't seem to mind at all. So it was a beautiful experience. So I didn't know how days had passed, weeks had passed, and months had passed. And this was a very, very proud moment for me to hoist our national flags 16,000 kilometers away from our motherland. The Bharti station was more or less constructed. This is the Bharti station as it stands today, with the backdrop of the polar, the southern lights, or the Aurora Australis. So all the equipment was brought back, and we set sail towards Maitri, which was 3,100 kilometers on the other side of Antarctica. So this is an aerial view of Maitri. As the ship was inching towards the Maitri station, it was decided that we'll take the helicopter and do a recce for the convoy route, because Maitri is about 120 miles interior from the coast. So we had to, take all the supplies and take it as a convoy to the Maitri station to give them the scientific and the domestic supplies for the wintering team. So we took the helicopter to assess the convoy route, and that's an aerial picture of the Maitri station, which has got a whole lot of pictures and idols and everything, and it's like a mini India. We had to literally pinch ourselves to believe that we are already not in India. This is a beautiful mandir called the Maitri Mandir. Any god and goddess that you can think of, you have a picture or an idol over there. And of course, in the winter with temperatures of -80, -90, where you can't step out of the station for a 6-month period in total darkness, I think you need the blessings of all the gods and goddesses to keep your sanity up. We got to see the, the beauty of Mother Nature at the finest over there. This is a flash frozen giant wave, I am told, which just freezes like that instantly because of the temperatures being so low. This is a cave which was crafted in the iceberg. This is an ice tunnel with the stalactites, stalagmites and all that you can see. We had to literally crawl through and carefully go through one end of this tunnel on the frozen river and come out of the other tunnel. It was like a totally different planet out there. And this was again a natural phenomena. We were the only human beings there, and we were wondering who has carved out this slab of ice over there. But then we realized it's just a chunk of ice that gets dislodged, and because of the whirlwind activity, it goes round and round and it carves out this perfect circular slab. And this is a similar phenomenon in the roof of an ice cave, and it's like a beautiful chandelier, a natural chandelier. So having taken in all these scenes, when we got back to our ship, the captain of the ship told us that unfortunately the ship had jammed about 10 miles short of the India Bay ice shelf. So he said the only thing that can help us now is if there is going to be a storm, a very bad weather, then the tidal waves will break up the ocean and then we'll be able to move forward. the ship was jammed over there and we were not able to go ahead at all. So he told us a bad weather can help us. So ironically, we started praying for a bad weather because this is the last leg of the expedition and we had to give the supplies to the wintering team because the survival of wintering team depends on the supplies and then only we can come back to India. But our prayers didn't seem to be answered. So it was decided that wherever the ship was jammed, we are going to offload all the cargo and start the transportation convoy right from there. And as luck would have it, within 3 days of this transporting and offloading was in full swing, the blizzard broke. And this blizzard, with the whiteout and the entire katabatic, anabatic, everything that I had read about Antarctica and dreaded about Antarctica was right there in front of my eyes to see and experience. And this blizzard and whiteout lasted for nearly 7 days and nights. So we were stranded in the ship and nothing we could do but just pray. And on the 7th day, when the blizzard was sort of dying down, the leader of the team, along with a trusted buddy, got out and he said, I'm going to take a recce and see if we can resume our transportation because the blizzard is almost dying down. And when you have this humongous amount of snowfall, the crevices are falsely concealed. So many a times it will appear safe, but then there could be a false concealment over there. But that is exactly what happened when the pistol bully got sucked into one of those falsely concealed crevices. But not to worry, our team leader was a seasoned Antarctican. He had done Antarctica 7 times. He knew exactly what to do. And he got out of from there safely and immediately contacted us. And we were just 10 members at that time. And we went to this scene over here and managed to retrieve this piston bully, which I would like to show as a small video clipping. So we moored all the surrounding snow and created a false bridge there so that the piston bully doesn't get sucked down any further. And then we sort of retrieved this piston bully without any loss to limb, life or property. This was one of the most defining challenges that Antarctica had thrown at us, and we felt very happy that we managed to do this successfully and completed the transportation to Maitri Station. This was 16 hours of blizzard which was continuously on, and all of us had to pitch in this activity, which literally gives me goosebumps even now to think about it. So as a doctor, as a scientist, and as a first-time visitor to Antarctica, it really rekindled that poetess in me. As a school kid, I used to write poems. And after becoming a medical student, of course, all your passions have to be put on the back burner because you're so bogged down with all the medical studies. But the beauty and the grand simplicity of Antarctica rekindled that poetess in me, and I wrote a poem on Antarctica, and I named it Aunt Antarctica. The reason I named it Aunt Antarctica is because nearly about 250 to 270 million years ago, we did not have different land masses like the way we have today. There was no India, Africa, America, Australia, Antarctica or anything like that. It was a huge continent called the supercontinent or the Gondwana land, which because of various geological phenomena split open, and then the different land masses have migrated to where they are today. In the next 200 to 300 million years, they are all going to keep migrating and again reunite to form a huge land mass, I am told. So if India is my motherland, anything which came from the same origin, so Antarctica becomes sibling of India, so it becomes my aunt. So I named it Aunt Antarctica, and this concept was very much appreciated by the International Antarctic Science Fraternity. And I was a special invitee to Portland in US to narrate this poem as well as share my experiences, which I would like to do for you. Eons and eons ago, did the great Gondwana land galore, when we were all truly one, under one single sun, who, in austral summer, set for 6 months no more. He shone in the clear blue sky, where stars had no chance to pry, in all his glory, with all his might, for all of summer, all through day and night, with undying zest and zeal, happy and bright, he shone with not a moment of respite. There was not a drop of rain, nor a crop of grain, no farmers toiled in pain. There was nothing to be lost in the bargain. It was all so pristine with utmost clarity. As life flourished in hope, peace, and tranquility. The oceans froze, and the icebergs stood mighty tall, guarding all creatures, big and small, lichen, moss, penguins, petrels, skuas and all. No trees, shrubs, plants, nor flowers, nor fruits, no, not at all. Then came the austral winter, out of the horizon, when the sun finally did canter. As silence prevailed in all-encompassing darkness, came the heavenly lights with sheer brilliance, bringing in the blazing night sky, taking us all on an all-new high, with hues of red, yellow, blue, and green, the stars trying hard to peek in between. As the seesaw of time, of darkness and light, carried on with biannual day and night, Mother Earth nurtured all life with no respite, and the heavens up above watched in peace and quiet. The wheel of time rolled relentlessly, and the cycle of life continued endlessly. Winds gusted, blizzards gallored, and whiteouts seemed incessant. Little did anyone know the great continental drift was imminent. Finally did Mother Earth erupt from her core, dismantling the tectonic plates with no abhor, splitting up the great Gondwana land like never before, separating the siblings to yonder to lore. Since then, they've traveled far and wide. With passing time, they patiently abide. India, Africa, South America, Australia, and Antarctica. Our hearts swell with pride, and it's no surprise you are our very own beloved Aunt Antarctica. Thank you. So these are the 2 trophies I proudly hold. I got the best trainee award by the Indo-Tibetan Border Police when I was training to go to Antarctica, and on my return I got the best expeditioner award from the Ministry of Earth Sciences. And whenever I was stranded in Antarctica because of whiteouts and blizzards, I made use of that opportunity to do the final editing and proofreading of my book. I'm a pediatrician with a focused interest on pediatric HIV and prevention of mother-to-child transmission of HIV. So this is a textbook on pediatric HIV which is recognized by the MUHS as a postgraduate medical textbook. So the final editing and proofreading of this book happened in Antarctica and during the voyage. And subsequently, I published another book called The Positive Child Has a Right to a Positive Life, which emphasizes on the fact that it's not only enough to keep the HIV positive children alive on antiretroviral therapy, but we also need to give them equal opportunities in life to grow up and become productive citizens of the country. So ladies and gentlemen, if there is a message in my talk, it's just to say that aim high and dream big and think out of your box, and no matter what you do, you always need to pursue something more and experience this beautiful life. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Give a big round of applause to the wonderful, brave, and very mentally, physically, and spiritually strong woman.
Thank you, ma'am. You have given a very good insight to the entire world of Antarctica. Yeah.